I need the absolute truth right now. Sharich, look me in the eye. But I don't know where my baby went. We found him. He can rest now. Tell me his story. Who put him out there? Shariche, I have no idea. Oh, you know exactly how he got there. You do. Something terrible happened. I still don't know if he was gone when you dropped him, or if you left him in those woods alone, dying. Step into the room with me. September 2nd, 2018. A mother collapses inside a Largo hotel lobby, bruised, bleeding, and barely speaking. She told my officers a stranger snatched her son. It sparked the biggest manhunt in Pinellas County history. Dog units, choppers, dive teams, and 60 public tips. $500,000 in taxpayer cash. A whole city desperate to bring one kid home. But while the search raged on, and volunteers checked dumpsters, and choppers circled overhead, I sat across from this grieving mother in the box and noticed her timeline just was not adding up. Her injuries, the changing story, hair phone. Look, we were trying to follow up and tie down every single lead we had. The night before, we released a sketch and some info about a suspect named Antoine, but let me be clear. We realized there was no Antoine. Nobody by that name existed in this investigation. We also knew the white Camry was a ghost. She made it all up because the suspect we were all hunting for was not some random guy driving a Toyota Camry. The killer was the one person on Earth supposed to protect that boy. You have to wonder, how did nobody see the red flags? You're watching Hidden Crime Network. Jordan Marcel Bell Jr. had brown eyes and a laugh so infectious. His foster family called him Mr. Chuckles. The kid loved Paw Patrol and balloons. He wore lampshades just to get a laugh. Foster parents Sam and Juliet Warren planned to adopt him. He was really thriving. But his biological mother wanted him back. Cherise Stinson was a woman raised in absolute, unpredictable chaos. Dad locked up when she was 4. Foster care at 15. She ran away 19 times before her 17th birthday. My witness files called her vindictive, manipulative, and likely battling mental illness with zero actual help. When she had Jordan, she lived in a crack house surrounded by gangs, drive-by shooters, and heavy narcotics. The state took him in January 2017. She fought back. Sitting in that courtroom, Cherise put on a masterclass, crying on cue, claiming she followed the rules, playing the perfectly reformed, loving mother. The motion for reunification is denied. They just need to verify everything. Unfortunately, the process takes time. So, how long is this going to take? Because we're completely ready. I'm seriously about to cry. We picked out a daycare for him. We've done everything you asked. What she sold the judge and the cold reality were two different animals. My notes showed missed appointments, getting secretly booted from counseling, and constantly refusing to unlock her front door for state caseworkers. The child advocate completely objected to reunification. The judge overruled it anyway. May 2018, Jordan was ripped from the only safe bed he knew and handed right back to Cherise. By September, Cherise was broke, facing eviction, and 5 months pregnant. The social worker who promised twice-a-week visits, they just stopped checking in. On August 31st, that worker finally showed up, snapped a few pictures of a little boy who wasn't smiling anymore, told her things were fine, and just walked away. 2 days later, my radio blasted an Amber Alert. The mother reporting him missing already knew he was dead. Amber Alert, active for a Largo boy. The mother tells us a stranger kidnapped her young son. Officers need your help to find him. The search grid we launched was massive. Federal agents and marshals. 60 tips flooded my desk. Volunteers searched dumpsters, parks, and empty alleys. We burned through $500,000. But you and I can see the clues. She was clearly lying. Zero security footage showed her walking Jordan down that route. No white Toyota Camry existed on that stretch of road. Bloody clothes turned up, rolled inside a carpet by her door, and neighbors heard a violent slam against her wall. hard enough to knock their own furniture down. Nothing in the crime scene matched her fake abduction story. I brought her back in, described the walk. Well, it got heavier and heavier. We just kept walking. We got a bit past the Checkers fast food place. Yep, that's when the white car pulled up. The driver asked if we were okay. I said yes. Let's unpack this tape together. I steered her toward Antoine. I asked if the suspect pulled up to the curb, blocking traffic, or rolled into the driveway. She claimed he skipped the driveway. Instead, she said he pulled over, inching the car much closer to the sidewalk. She claimed she always checks her blind spots, just out of habit. The driver pulled over and rolled the passenger side window down. The second that window dropped, she said the smell of weed hit her. She debated getting inside, even thinking about turning back right then. I reminded her she had just walked far away from the apartment complex. She still had a massive distance to cover. To her, walking alone didn't seem too bad, but carrying her heavy toddler made the long walk feel entirely impossible. I agreed with her. It was a brutal trek. Exhausted, she loaded her kid right into the vehicle's back passenger seat. She strapped the child and shut the door and climbed up front. She admitted she never put her own seatbelt on as they drove off. During the ride, the driver started pressing her for her name. She said she gave him attitude, acting guarded around strangers like him. The driver finally introduced himself as Antoine, then immediately asked for her exact destination. She claimed she just needed to drop her young son off at her ex's house. Antoine kept asking, "Do you still mess with him?" She insisted they merely co-parented. She said he wouldn't drop it. I stepped in, clarifying if Antoine was basically checking her current relationship status. She nodded, telling me she knows exactly when a guy is making a move. I let her continue. Antoine allegedly asked her, "What am I getting out of this ride?" Annoyed, she told him, "You're the one who offered me a lift." That's when Antoine asked, "Can you suck me up?" She told me she shut him down completely, flatly refusing. I instructed her to be brutally clear about his exact words. She confirmed to me that Antoine demanded oral sex. I acknowledged her answer. She reiterated that she firmly rejected his gross advance. Then he offered her $150. Broke and desperate, she started to reconsider the arrangement. She desperately needed money to feed her child. She confessed that if things had gone smoothly, she would have just grabbed the cash and headed straight back home. Exactly. With that cash in hand, she wouldn't need her ex's help to buy the baby a meal. I clarified that Antoine offered this bribe while driving. She agreed. They continued moving. She recalled making a right turn onto Lake Street, followed by a quick left at Lafayette. It happened almost immediately. She mentioned taking the first turn into a parking lot, which another officer had already shown her during the daylight. The sunlight helped her see clearly. She complained about her bad vision, which I brushed off. She asked if I had visited the crime scene. She described seeing a white structure, correcting herself that it wasn't a dumpster. It was the fenced enclosure hiding the bins. There was a parking spot right next to it, and that's exactly where Antoine pulled the car. She remembered Antoine putting a plastic wrapper over himself, and that's when the act finally started. I pushed for explicit details. She admitted to performing oral sex, so I asked how long the encounter lasted. She estimated 5 to 7 minutes before Antoine finished. She agreed it was over, but he immediately demanded more. He kept pushing for sex, but she repeatedly refused. At that point, she decided to forfeit the ride entirely, which only made Antoine furious. That was the moment he violently started striking her. From that brutal moment onward, you and I really need to connect the dots. I needed to map her route out to Largo Central. I summarized the facts. The suspect got off, but still aggressively demanded more from her afterward. I asked if he explained why. Usually, suspects lose all interest the second they finish. Normally, he would have just kicked her out of the vehicle. I told her I was just trying to logically understand the suspect's weird behavior. We took a delicate approach here. Let's watch how she builds the narrative and supplies every single grim detail. Let's review this interrogation tape. Charisse didn't realize every detail she volunteered gave me another solid fact to check. Her timeline was already falling apart. On the recording, she starts crying, saying she hates that she even did this. It is okay, I told her, playing the sympathetic cop. I know you were blaming yourself, but please stop. It is just a matter of going through every detail to make sure we are not missing anything. Okay, did he pay you? I asked. No, I did not get anything, she replied. I just nodded along. I pivoted to the attack. You were in the front passenger seat. She quietly hummed in agreement. Agent Luca is driving, I said. He is the attacker. She nodded. I set up the scene. This is your seating position. I am you. He is him, leaning into the seat. I am not doing that, she corrected. I will sit on top. I confirmed that was her exact seating position. Where does he hit you first? I asked. He hit me on this side. She gestured, demonstrating a harsh backhand strike. She claimed she even asked the hospital nurse to collect the suspect's DNA from her hair, insisting he forcefully pulled it. I nodded. He just kept hitting me. He had a glass mason jar full of weed, she stated, and he kept smashing my face with it. He hit you with that, I verified. All over my face, she claimed. I got punched in my mouth. I asked if she tried escaping the vehicle. I kept trying to grab the car door, she replied, begging him to let me go. After that, it is just a blur, she insisted. I just said okay, noting her incredibly convenient memory loss. Now let's track the timeline together. To keep things organized, I stated, you left your house around 9:50. You got picked up pretty quickly on your walk. I pressed, how long were you actually out there walking? She estimated 5 to 7 minutes of walking before reaching the exact pickup spot. Then the suspect picks you up, I clarified. Do you guys immediately start driving? Oh, yeah, she replied. I calculated the route aloud. So it only takes a few minutes to reach Lafayette Street. That is less than a mile away, maybe a mile. Just a minute or two to get through the traffic light and reach that specific location. Right, I asked her, assuming the entire job takes 10 minutes, including any quick negotiations. I reasoned, tightening the timeline trap. What exact time is it when the suspect starts hitting you? Maybe 10:15 or 10:20, she guessed nervously. My phone was hidden inside my purse. I am not asking for an exact time, I reassured her, playing along. Does that timeline sound generally accurate? I asked. Within 30 minutes of leaving home, you are getting violently attacked. Tell me exactly what happened next. I demanded a drug test. She stated, sure. I said, just to prove my system was clean. I leaned forward. Did you ingest any narcotics while with this suspect? Not that I know of. I kept digging. Did you notice any strange pain? Or fresh needle marks? Apart from the hospital's IVs. She crossed her arms. That is why I demanded the drug test. Did you actually believe you were drugged? I asked her. Or were you just being highly cautious? Just cautious. She claimed, you cannot tell right now, but I am pregnant. I took every precaution. I moved on, showing her a map of the crime scene. Let's locate where you think you were when you finally woke up. You woke up near the park. I guided her and started realizing that something terrible was actively going on. Tell me again what you reported at the hospital. Let's get the facts completely straight. You woke up, but where exactly were you? I was lying underneath some large trees, she told me vaguely. I prompted her to continue. I was hidden, she said, but close enough to see the 7-Eleven and the hotel perfectly clear. Were you on a paved sidewalk? It was all gravel and dirt, she corrected. I noted that down as she described finally managing to stand up. A couple was walking past, she recalled, and then I sprinted straight toward the nearby hotel. I clearly remember falling down. She continued her statement. Then I felt somebody repeatedly kicking my side, trying to violently wake me up. I woke up on my stomach, she said, her voice shaking. I kept screaming at them, telling them I am pregnant, and right then, I felt sharp pain in my stomach. The man rolled me over, she claimed. He kept repeating my name, Charisse, basically trying to get my attention. Was this all at the hotel? She nodded, saying the police arrived shortly after. Stick with me. This is where our real investigation into her story begins. Let's step into the interrogation room. She stared at me. I just remember waking up inside the ambulance. Okay, I pressed. Did you leave anything in his car? I don't have his green book bag, she claimed. Were you missing a shoe? I asked. I don't have my shoe. You got your right shoe? I asked. Yeah. My left shoe, she stammered back nervously. You have your left shoe? You're missing your right toe. My main concern wasn't the suspect doing anything. In my head, I was screaming, where the hell did you take your child? Where the hell is he? You don't know him. Right, never seen him before. I pushed. I don't hang out with anybody. She deflected. Don't know anything about him. I probed further. He was smoking weed when you got in the car. Not exactly at the time, but I could smell it. I know. I nodded. So he had just finished smoking. So I'm having a hard time figuring out what he'd do with that child. I paused. Sorry. Keep going. Where do you think he would actually take a kid? I pressed. I don't know to tell you that. Okay, this was my first real strategy shift. I wasn't simply verifying her wild story anymore. I needed her to think exactly like the person she was pretending to be, a desperate mother, trying to find her missing child. And she had absolutely no answer. Do you often take a ride from a total stranger? I asked. I don't really talk to anybody. She mumbled. Have you ever gotten in a random car with a stranger before? You seem like a smart, level-headed woman. I reasoned. To just jump into a car with your kid at 10 at night with a stranger. Even from speaking with Jojo and your mom. It just seems entirely out of character for you to do something like that. Not only that, I continued, but then to, offer yourself up for some quick cash. Does your family know about all that? Partially, not completely, but that's not his problem, she replied. It just seems like, given your history with him, it's really not something you would typically do. I challenged. I know pretty much Junior is going to get taken from me regardless. She confessed, because I'm currently facing an eviction. Yeah, I don't have a job, and I simply can't financially provide for him. Correct. I nodded. So at this point, I've never been completely on my own, she whispered. I've got to do what I've got to do. I stared her down. Have you ever blown a guy like that for money before? It just doesn't seem like you. What is really going on? Tell me what you're thinking. I feel like it's my fault, she cried. Okay, why do you feel that way? Charisse, look at me, I said firmly. I need you to hear something very important right now. Okay, here is where it gets interesting for us. This is where her cracks finally showed. Not in her words, but in her silence. She got extremely emotional. She admitted feeling like it was her fault, but I chose not to push her quite yet. I let her sit in that heavy feeling before dropping the hammer. You can't change what has already happened. Charisse, okay, whatever happened has happened. I told her, all we can do now is be honest and make good choices moving forward. Right now, your son is still out there missing. I want to know where he is. That is the entire reason we are sitting here today. Where do you think he is? I demanded. He doesn't really talk to people outside of his own family. She deflected. They don't really go anywhere. I'm talking about the kid. I clarified. He doesn't have a lot of friends or places he's going to go. Obviously, she continued to ramble, but I don't know where my baby is. She sobbed. It's because of me, and I just don't know where he is. Can we keep talking? I asked gently. What's that? It's okay. Take a deep breath. I just want to talk a little more about the events of the past couple days. Is that all right? Yes. Sit. Okay. Let's back up to Friday. The case manager came over to the house. Everything was fine. I already spoke to that case manager. There should be a tissue box here. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all right. You really don't have to apologize to me. I cannot even imagine what you're going through right now. I'm sorry. I just need to know. Are you okay? She pleaded. Like I told you, I can't guarantee that, I replied coldly. You decide. I don't know the answer to that. I said, here's a couple tissues. You and I are stepping into the interrogation room. I looked at her. I don't know how you got there. You definitely didn't get dragged. Her story just wasn't adding up. She didn't walk over and simply lay down, and she sure as hell didn't jump all the way down there from the concrete sidewalk. So, I am just trying to make the pieces fit together in my head. I explained, yes, sir. I reminded her of a crucial question I asked her back at the hospital. I knew what she claimed before, but I needed to ask her again. I just wanted her to be completely straight with me. Do you know where your boy is? I asked. No, sir, she replied. Have you done anything to hurt him? I had to ask the hard questions. I wasn't trying to make this an easy conversation. No, sir. I pushed. Did something happen to him? No, sir. I wouldn't hurt my child. I pressed her. Did anything happen to him that might explain this nightmare? Or why she supposedly fell? Something she felt she just could not explain away. She kept stammering, stating he was fine, promising me that the boy was perfectly okay. I stopped her. We don't know that. If he is out there somewhere, I can find him. I need to know right now. I brought up my partner. She had given us full permission to search her cell phone. He dumped the data and pulled up her web history. It showed some very disturbing search activity from Saturday night. Right around 2 in the morning, she stumbled, finally admitting she looked up the causes of a seizure. She played dumb, swearing that was pretty much it. Causes of seizure. I read back. There is also a search about a broken thigh, left untreated. Are you absolutely sure? I'm positive. Are you sure? She swore she was 100% sure, unless she mistyped it. I told her my mind would naturally go to desperate excuses like that, too. But the forensic extraction showed multiple searches. She looked for broken thigh, and broken thigh, untreated. Are you serious? She gasped. Yes. I said, right around 2 in the morning that same night. She panicked, asking if my partner could pull that up and show her. She stammered, faking confusion. Let's look at the evidence together. No innocent mother searches for an untreated broken thigh at 2 in the morning before her child vanishes. She knew she was caught. I knew it. What do you and I make of this? Her denials confirmed exactly what my team already suspected. I shifted gears. Did Antoine seem like, aside from what happened, did he seem like he was a complete idiot to you? No, she mumbled quietly. No, she insisted. Just a regular dude. A regular guy. I echoed. In his early 20s. He isn't going to want the burden of taking care of your kid. He won't want to keep a child around. I pressed. No, she agreed. He would drop the kid off somewhere, and someone would call it in. There's been an Amber Alert out for your boy since early this morning. That's impossible. What's impossible? I asked. Impossible, Sharich. Am I wrong here? That is impossible. I reminded her she claimed it was Friday night. She quickly corrected herself to early Saturday morning. Yes, sir. And then you mysteriously wake up Sunday morning around 1:30, hoping he comes back. Right, and you truly think Antoine had him, right? Yes, sir. I laid it out. What are the odds Antoine wouldn't just hand that child over to a stranger because he didn't want the heavy responsibility? He might not drive right up to the police precinct, but he'd definitely stop at a gas station and hand him off. She cracked, claiming the only thing she could think of was that he left the boy at the park. I don't know, she cried. Look, I don't do this. We are still looking. Even while we sit here having this conversation, my officers are actively searching. Believe me. But that doesn't get us closer to finding him. I stared her down. There are vital points of this investigation we have to discuss right now. I warned her it would get difficult, but that is simply the brutal reality of a missing child case. There are no cameras. She lied. Wrong. We already checked the feeds on East Bay Drive. I told her, we found zero evidence to support your story about walking with a child. Look, I have no proof for what you're claiming. Let me ask, how is your temper? Do you ever get really upset? Just completely lose your temper? The only person making you mad is Jordan Sr. That guy just pawns his own child off on you, day in and day out, leaving you totally alone. He never gives you a single dime unless you are literally begging him for it. The same man who beat you last month and brushed it off. The guy who just got you pregnant all over again. By his own admission, he does not care. He dragged your life down a completely different road while he just goes out to party and do whatever he wants. He abandoned you to play single mom. You never even had a kid before this. Little Jordan was your very first. You admitted that to me at the hospital. You desperately want this man, but all he ever wants is to run far away from you. I get that it hurts, but truthfully, I do not care about him. She claimed she still had her child. I replied, "Sûr, I get that, but being a parent can be an incredibly frustrating job. Most people I work with are parents themselves, and the one thing we all agree on is that nothing pushes your buttons quite like your own kids. They get so frustrating, especially around 2 years old. They become difficult. They get overwhelmingly needy." I told her it might be hard to admit, but I just needed the absolute truth. I promised we would work through whatever actually happened. I told her she wasn't bad. You and I know how interrogations go. I laid every single card out on that table. The moment I called out her lies, the crying started. She denied the facts until she had nothing left. Since she wasn't under formal arrest, she walked right out of my interrogation room, but she wasn't truly free. She left us with everything we needed to close in on her. Then, on September 4th, our search team found him. Little Jordan was discovered in a swampy, thick wooded stretch right behind the Largo Sports Complex. He was submerged in 5 inches of water, covered by heavy brush, with a single shoe missing. The coroner confirmed blunt force trauma. Stick with me. This is where my interrogation shifted from a missing boy to cold murder. This was now a homicide investigation. I called Charisse back to the station. This time, the entire energy in my room turned icy cold. "Who put him there?" "Charisse," she just sobbed. "I swear I don't know. I really wish I did." "How did he get there?" She kept insisting she absolutely did not know. "Remember yesterday, Charisse, when my partner and I had that conversation with you and we stated, we warned you we would call you out whenever we caught you lying? Well, I am calling you out right here, right now. You know exactly how that little boy got out there? You absolutely do." I told her I wasn't trying to be cruel, but she needed to listen to me closely. This was her one single chance to tell the absolute, real story. I promised I wouldn't get angry with her, but she had to tell everyone what actually went down. Are you a remorseful mother? Or are you a monster? Because it can only be one of those two. Maybe there's a reasonable explanation. Maybe things got way out of hand. Or maybe you just don't give a damn. And right now, I'm really starting to lean toward option 2. I hadn't believed that all week long. But man, do I feel foolish now. Because I was actually fighting in your corner. Tell me, what made you panic? Tell me what happened. Make me understand. Something snapped. And Grandma deserves the truth. Both grandmothers. Your own mother never even got to meet the boy. She deserves to hear the real, honest story. And Jessica, someone who has done absolutely nothing but help you and try to be there for you. You owe her a real explanation if you ever want your little boy to forgive you for what you did. She whispered, "Can I pee first?" I said, "Yeah. Let's walk to the bathroom." Make a right. Right then, Charisse knew her fabricated stories had entirely shattered. When she walked back in, she finally cracked. She just kept crying about how totally overwhelmed she was with absolutely everything. "I didn't mean it," she cried. I replied, "I know you didn't." I asked what happened. "This is the exact moment you and I finally break this case open." She cried about loving him, and I agreed. "I love him," she cried. I replied, "Have I ever claimed you didn't love him?" I leaned in. "What happened? Come on. Getting this dark secret off your conscience will make you feel much better. I promise. Something terrible happened inside that apartment, didn't it?" She whispered. "He was completely fine when she brought the food. Let's review the tape." I asked her point blank, when was he not okay? She claimed she couldn't remember, just that the seizure happened late Friday night. I clarified early Saturday morning, while they were still in bed. She agreed. I tried to pin down the timeline. She had just told me he was fine when they woke up for the day. So I asked her again, when did things go wrong? She dodged, mumbling about getting dressed. I asked what time, but she stayed vague. I demanded to know when they woke up that Saturday. She said 7 a.m., after Jordan Sr. called, before sleeping again. I repeated it back to her. You fell asleep, then woke around 11. She nodded, saying she got the boy up to brush his teeth. She claimed they were just chilling. I hit the same question when, wasn't he okay? Her story kept shifting. He took a shower. Then suddenly she gave him a bath and got him dressed. She admitted he wasn't acting completely normal, but insisted the child was still walking around fine. I pressed her on that. What does not normal mean? She said his eyes were just acting really weird. I asked how they were weird. Were his eyes rolling back in his head? Were they crossed? She stammered, telling me she didn't know how to describe it. She finally said it seemed like the boy just wasn't all the way there. I reminded her of a word we used yesterday, lethargic. Was he acting a little loopy? She agreed. I then asked if he was using the leg he'd supposedly hurt earlier. I reminded her about the injury. Was the boy limping really badly right then? She asked if I meant Saturday night, confirming he was limping pretty bad by then. I asked if it was broken. She wasn't sure, even though she Googled it all night. She admitted he was limping heavily. I pointed out that meant he wasn't walking very well. She called me sir, claiming that when they left the apartment, he was still walking. She stumbled over her words. I interrupted, asking if they left at the exact time we'd been discussing all week. Between 9:50 and 10, she thought maybe later, recalling a text she sent to Jordan's phone. I told her 10:20 was when her phone disconnected. I asked if that sounded about right to her. She corrected me to 10:22. The plan was to take him to Jordan Sr. That was her supposed plan, a very long walk on foot. I demanded to know the exact path. She said she was getting there. I let her keep talking. I used my soft voice then. I told her I didn't think she was a bad person or a monster. I told her she wasn't evil. She just had to tell us what actually happened. I reviewed the facts. They left the apartment, and she claimed he was walking, but he clearly wasn't. She interrupted me, desperate to clarify that the blood we found had nothing to do with this incident. She swore that massive amount of blood was just from a chin injury, completely unrelated. She insisted. She babbled that it meant nothing. She actually hoped the autopsy would somehow prove her ridiculous story. I told her I hoped so too. Then she said they were walking, but hadn't even left the apartment complex yet. She claimed they were just before the Outback area, right by the office. She claimed the boy suddenly passed out. She panicked as he just lost total consciousness. She knew she could have called for help. And honestly, on that one point, Charisse was telling the truth. You and I know the blood in her apartment didn't kill Jordan. But that tiny truth was buried under a massive lie. While the blood was a dead end, the head trauma was fatal. And her story kept shifting every single time I pushed her for answers. The autopsy showed blood swelling around his brain. A small child only has a tiny bit of space inside that skull. When blood violently fills that space, the pressure has to go somewhere. So I had to ask what really happened to him that night. Step into the interrogation room with me. He fell off the bed Friday night, I asked. Which bed? He stuck to his story. He hit it jumping on the bed out in the living room. All right, I pressed. What did he hit it on? He mumbled something about the bare floor. I stared him down. This kind of fatal head trauma just doesn't happen from a simple fall. He started stammering. He might have hit it jumping, he said. But a low fall for a toddler, his height, it simply doesn't happen. I tried to make him understand. I've been a detective a long time. My training tells me this specific head trauma was violently severe. This was a devastating blow, a truly, incredibly brutal hit. I brought up the neighbor. They heard a massive bang against the wall Saturday. Did he hit something then? He just nodded. How did he hit it so hard? Which part? I asked. He claimed he couldn't remember. He hesitated, pretending to jog his memory. Damn. Hold on. trying to picture walking into the room. He finally pointed up high. It was right here. It looked really red. Okay, did you actually see him hit it? No, just saw the red mark. So how did he even know it was from a fall? He rambled about it not being a big knot, claiming he just knew the difference in the boy's behavior before and after playing. I narrowed it down. Where were you when it happened? He backpedaled. Not the living room. I was back in the main bedroom. All right. I said, where was he? He placed the boy near his toddler bed. I asked if that was the living or dining area. The dining room. He decided. I reminded him of our walkthrough at the crime scene yesterday afternoon. He quickly agreed. Yes, that was the spot. He tried to clarify, saying the toddler bed used to be pushed right up against the drywall. I corrected him. It was pulled away slightly, but still near that exact same wall. He sighed, visibly frustrated. I pushed again. He played the victim, swearing he was telling me the complete truth. Let's evaluate this together. Why hide this for 2 whole days? I demanded to know. I gave him an out. You panicked, told one tiny lie, and it just snowballed out of control. Things just spiraled out of hand. I said, offering him a completely clean slate. Everything from the last few days is done. I just need to know how he got hit. He deflected, denying everything. I shifted gears. Where was he when the grandmother brought over food? He claimed the boy was just chilling in the room, watching television. Was he lethargic? He acted confused, claiming he didn't understand that word at all. Was he acting weird or funny? He insisted the boy was just sitting there watching television. Just a squeeze. I showed him a photo. He immediately pointed and called the dark spot a simple birthmark. Let me see that. He panicked, realizing I had high-resolution evidence. You probably can't see it well. I pointed right at it. That's a bruise. That's no birthmark. You explicitly said his birthmark was over on the right side. You know exactly what this is. I pressed. It is a violent bruise. That comes from somebody brutally grabbing that baby and smashing him into a solid surface. I leaned in closer. I've been a homicide detective forever. Believe me, I've seen it all. I laid it out. You completely panicked. You wanted to rush him to the hospital. What do we make of this? I believe the boy died in his arms, but something made him flee. He whispered about wanting to feed him, but you can't eat with a massive brain bleed like that. I stared her down. What actually happened? I told her I've sat in this interrogation room with hundreds of suspects. We all make split-second mistakes. I get it. 1 split second is all it takes. I know she'd take that moment back in a heartbeat if she could, but we couldn't undo it. That's why we were in that room. I leaned in and told her, you owe that little boy the truth. Tell the truth, and maybe find some forgiveness. For hours in that interview, she still tried claiming she had no clue about his head injury. But once my team got those autopsy results back, her lies completely fell apart. Cherie finally broke down. She admitted she backhanded Jordan in pure frustration. He fell back, smashed his head on the wall, and she panicked. She never dialed 911. She dumped his body in the woods. Then she sat in my station and invented a phantom suspect named Antoine. One horrible, completely inexcusable choice. And a little boy's life was stolen from him. On October 13th, 2020, I watched Cherie stand before a judge and plead guilty to second-degree murder and filing a false police report. The judge handed her 50 long years behind bars, with credit for 2 years already served. She won't even see a parole board until 2067. By then, she'll be in her 70s. She actually had a daughter while locked up. In a handwritten letter, she requested that custody go straight to Jordan's foster parents, Sam and Juliet Warren, the exact same family who lovingly called him Mr. Chuggles. They wanted to keep him from the start. Later, in a jailhouse interview, she claimed she felt remorse, citing her faith and postpartum depression. You and I can decide if we actually believe her, but we can't debate the cold, hard facts of what happened to Jordan and the aftermath. This tragic case directly inspired Jordan's law. That's a Florida child welfare reform law, forcing smaller caseloads, stricter oversight, and way better communication between our police departments and protective services. The broken system that failed him while he was alive was finally forced to change, but it took his death to make it happen. Jordan Marcel Bell Jr. loved Paw Patrol, bright balloons, and just making people smile. That little boy deserves so much better than what he got. If unpacking this criminal investigation moved you like it moved me, drop a comment below. Tell me what you think about the system failures and that interrogation. Hit that like button if you stayed until the end. Share this with someone who needs to hear this story. And subscribe so we can crack the next case together. Remember, children rely entirely on the adults around them, not just their own parents, teachers, neighbors, caseworkers, and total strangers. When we all keep our eyes open, we become the true safety net that no agency can replace. Stay safe, stay sharp, and thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next case file from Hidden Crime Network. Take care. This story is a painful reminder that truth delayed can become tragedy multiplied. What began as stress, frustration, and a single moment of lost control spiraled into a chain of irreversible consequences. A child lost his life, not just because of one action, but because fear, denial, and dishonesty were allowed to take over when accountability mattered most. It teaches us that seeking help is never weakness. Life can become overwhelming financial pressure, mental health struggles, or parenting challenges, but silence and isolation only deepen the crisis. There are always safer choices than reacting in anger or covering up mistakes. One honest call for help could have changed everything. This case also exposes the importance of community vigilance and system responsibility. Children depend entirely on the adults and institutions around them. When warning signs are ignored or systems fail to follow through, the consequences can be devastating. Above all, this story urges us to remember every child deserves protection, patience, and compassion. One moment of control, one decision to tell the truth, or one person stepping in could mean the difference between life and loss. Let this be more than a story. Let it be a call to act, to carry, and to never look away.